Just call. He didn't call me for that. In fact, it just went out of my mind that I had supposed to take any class. Yeah, tell me. So, shall I start with the class? Or should I wait for somebody else?
I will wait for 5 minutes then.
We'll wait for others for 5 minutes. Yes, absolutely. We'll wait. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll wait for 5 minutes. Okay. Then I'll start with the class. Okay. Okay. First, Ani Banjesh. Yeah. The class, I would just like to talk to about that. I'll be talking about social development. What do you mean by social development and what do you mean by human development? Okay. The third unit of yours. So I may not be able to cover all the points over here, but whatever is the requirement for that particular unit, I'll try to complete over there and give you some information with regard to that. Is that okay, Shravani? Monica?
Yes, ma'am, it's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about what exactly you mean by social development. So what are its objectives? What are the important aspects that are related to social development? We're also talking about the perspectives of social development. We'll also look at the models of social development. Okay? So I was just giving you the connection between all these particular concepts related to social development. And in turn, I will also talk about what exactly you mean by human development. Is that okay? So shall I start with,
Yes,
because it's 12:30 now, that I think it's better to start with the class. So rather than, wasting my time or something like that, I just think I can just begin with the class, what exactly is meant by social development. Shall I?
Okay, madam.
Yeah, fine. What do you mean by social development? When I say social development talks about the proper assessment of the situations, finding out the problems, okay, identifying the proper problems or proper arrangement, either in the qualitative aspect or the quantitative aspect. So when I talk about social development has three major aspects. See, I wanted to put it in the, shall I put it on the PowerPoint presentation? I think it may take some time, but just listen to me very carefully. See, social development has three major aspects. First one, it is called as normative. Second one is evaluative, and third is operative. There are three major aspects of social development. So when I talk about normative aspects of social development, it talks about proper assessments of the contemporary social situation. What are the situations that are existing related to that particular area, and finding out the key aspects of the particular situations. What are the problems of the particular area? Whether it may be related to education, it may be related to public health, it may be related to population control, etc., etc., etc. So every area differs from, every problem differs from place to place. So not every place has got the same kind of problem existing. For example, if we talk about the two places in Himayatnagar or other place of Hyderabad, the two places are two very different aspects. Himayatnagar may be having the problem of electricity, but some other places like Gachibowli or High-Tech City may not have the problem of electricity. The two different areas are having two different problems. So here we need to understand what are the key problems are there. There's the normative aspects of social development. Second aspect we could talk about is the evaluative aspect. So how are you talking about the evaluate aspect? Evaluate aspect refers to the individual's ability in determining what is right and hence pressurable and it is useful for the society. So it is very important that for any development process, we need to evaluate the situation. Without evaluating the situation, I think we cannot go further with the aspects. So there is a kind of, we can say, there's a kind of a joy and a fulfillment of doing things, because when we evaluate the thing, we go probe into the things, we get with that, self gratification. Okay, and that is talking about the evaluative aspect of social development. Third important aspect of social development is operative aspect. See, first I said normating, you understand the problem. Second, you talk about the evaluative aspect. And third, it talks about the operative aspect. So when I say operative aspect of social development, it talks about the operational and how are you going to implement those things? And how are you going to bring about the transformation within the system? So these are the three important aspects of social development. So such changes at social and individual level have to be properly integrated with the social system. Okay, so that is talking about what exactly you mean by social development. So social development, like interdependent aspects is there between normative, evaluative, as well as operative. So what is social development again? So social development talks about the development and of the ability and the willingness of the people. So when I say development of the ability and willingness of the people that are unappudu, we're talking not only about the development of the society, but also the development of the person or the individual himself. So here we need to understand people, those who are into the social development process, they should be capable enough and they should be willing enough to work for the society as well as for their own well-being. Okay. Second major aspect, or important interdependent aspect of this social development is talking about the proper alternation and rearrangement of institutional structure, so that human needs are made available to all sections, especially to the downtrodden and the vulnerable masses. So we should make certain kinds of arrangements and the requirements that are needed for that particular place to help those downtrodden as well as the vulnerable masses of society. Because when we talk about sociology, we talk about social development, we actually talk about the social issues that are existing in the society. So there is a major concern that we have to look at the alternative measures. We also have to look at the what kind of alternative arrangements you are going to find out or make out to solve the problems of the downtrodden and the vulnerable masses. And the second aspect, and third aspect is the improvement of interrelationship among the individuals. Like, how are you going to improve the relationship among the individuals? For example, many people are having poor socioeconomic conditions. The social they're facing many problems. They're not having proper resources. Okay, they are having their own challenges of the places where they are living, and their needs are not being properly met. Okay, and that has to be met. That has to be attained by the people, those who are into the development aspect. So what should be the aim of social development? This will listen to me. The aim of social development is to achieve a more humanistic society. What is social development? Social development talks about a more of a humanistic society with institutions. The institutions may be educational institutions. The institutions could be economic institutions. Institutions could be religious institutions. It could be anything. So the major purpose of social development is to achieve a more humanistic society with institutions and organization that will respond more appropriately to human needs. Getting my point? So this could be a major, the gist of social development is to achieve a more humanistic society with institutions and organizations that will respond more appropriately to human needs. Is that okay? Is that okay, child?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now before that, before going into other aspect, like what is modernization? We talk because we are in the process of modernization. What is modernity? Like when you talk about modern societies moving towards modernity, and we are into postmodern society. So there are many factors, many facets of modernization when you relate it to social development. So when I say the major facts of facets of modernization, when I relate to social development, the first could be the theory of social change. When I say modernization, society is moving from traditional society to the modern society. So the treatment of social change is accommodated with varying degree with the prevailing mode of structural functional analysis. So what I meant to say, there is a kind of change that is experienced by, because you all know that society is dynamic in nature, as said by Auguste Comte, as said by Herbert Spencer, as said by Durkheim. We know that society is dynamic in nature, it is changing, it is progressive. And for that purpose, there is a need of differentiation, integration. A model of social change is required. So social change is one of the phases of modernization, which again in relation to social development. Then we talk about what is modernity again. Modernity, when we talk about modernity talks about a relationship with industrialization. So modernity, just because 19th century sociology talk about, was primarily concerned with the disruptions and the new social forms resulting from industrialization, which again provided a number of concepts in the range of dichotomous ideal types, such as status contract, sacred, secular, mechanical, organic, community association, to which are again later formulated as, folk, urban concepts, etc., and pattern variables as given by Tarkul Parson. So there are various concepts that are emerging out of modernity. And it's again the part of social development. Okay. Then another is this achieving development, how we are going to achieve development. See, the sociology of development becomes a question of identifying and analyzing the social, cultural, and psychological conditions and the consequences of economic development. So there is, when I say consequences of economic development, so there is a transition from the traditional to the modern society, and which can be treated with the primarily negative aspects. So society is moving from traditional to modern. When I say society is moving from simple to complex, traditional to modernity, certainly there will be the conflicting aspect. It is not that easier, but certainly what happens, it leads to a negative emphasis on the terms of, removing the obstacles to development, or with a sometimes, also with a positive emphasis in terms of, creating the cultural environment, which is actually required for the development. So this is again, as I said you that, man is a social animal, as you all know, as given by Aristotle. Even man is also a political animal. Even a man is also an economic person. So a man can be termed with various aspects. Okay. So when again we talk about modern social development, the aspects of development, we talk about modernizing the elite section. So whether the will to be modern, or it is generally regarded as a finding its most strategic expression in the role of the modernizing elite sections. People, those are bureaucrats, people, those are intellectuals, people, those are political. Okay, all these, who are charged with the articulation of development goals and supervision of development strategies for the development of the country, and the task of nation building, they're creating a viable national societies from their social and cultural diverse population. So elite sections, whoever it could be, sometimes you may be an IS officer, you will be given a task of, looking into some aspects of the society, and you will be working on that. Not every person will be getting a chance to work for the sake of his country, but people, those who are into various sections, various categories of higher strata, they will be given a chance to work on the various aspects of the society. So this is about the various aspects of social development. Now coming to what are the indicators of social development. You may get a question like, what is social development? What are the indicators of social development? I request you guys to just listen to this point. Or if you want, I can share you this PPT of mine. 1 second. I just put a PPT to you. I share this PPT with you guys. 1 second. Indicators of development, that is very important part. You can just refer it, or you can just go through it. 1 second. I just read it from here. What are they? And I'll just show to you as well for that. What are the indicators of development? Just go through it. There are 6 indicators of development. Not 6, 7 indicators. Make it bigger. Share screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Ma'am. Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
able to see the screen? Yeah.
Yes,
We can
ma'am.
note down these points if you want, but I'll talk about that now. See, for example, if we talk about the indicators of development, see, this is not given by, actually, these are being given by Professor S.C. Dubey, who is again an Indian sociologist. Okay. And it is very important for us to understand the indicators which are being, identified by the various United Nations universities, and is a central theme of concern. So when I talk about the indicators of social development, it talks about a shift in emphasis from individual to larger collectives encompassing the poor majority. So there is a shift. When I talk about social development, we are not talking in terms of individuals, we're talking in terms of the larger population. And more often, more of the poor majority, poor population. So there is a shift in emphasis from the individual to larger collectivities. It is like when I say a social problem is talking about the problems which are faced by many people. So there is a shift in the emphasis from the individual to larger collectives, especially talking about the poor majority. Second aspect, second indicator of social development is to read the redefinition of social goals. Redefinition of social goals. We have to redefine our social goals in terms of satisfaction of human needs and improvement in the quality of life. So any development policies, any development programs and schemes we talk about, it actually talks about the satisfaction of human needs. Okay, and also to improve in the quality of life. For example, we talk about so many Asra pensions and all. We talk about so many things the government of Telangana and government of India are coming up with, and they have come up. Why have they come up with? They want to satisfy the human needs, and they also want to improve the quality of life of the people. Second aspect. Third aspect is the modification in the strategy of planning and implementation to take account of the interface between economic and cultural activity. So there is a need of modification in the strategies of planning. So what was there in the first 5-year plan and what should be in the 13th 5-year plan, 12th 5-year plan? There is a change. There's a requirement of change. I just cannot talk about, still I cannot talk about sati practices. Okay. Sati is already gone. It is abolished. Still, maybe it is there, but I have the laws and rules and regulations in which I can implement it. Or child marriages, I can implement them because the laws are existing. So what new strategies and what new kind of modifications you are going to bring to take account between the interface between economic and cultural objectives? This is third one. Next is the creation of redistribution institutional structure for the attainment of the new social objectives and evolving a broad strategy for organizational and value change to ensure speedy attainment of the redefined social goals. So we just cannot keep quiet. We should be very quick enough to fulfill our goals. So they need to be speedy. They should be they should fasten up. They should ensure speedy attainment of the redefined social goals. The creation of redistribution institution structure. So there should be certain institutions who will work on the various new social objectives to bring the changes in the society. Next is the major indicator is to evaluate social progress. Okay, evaluation of social progress. The change is whether progress is going on or not. If it is going, at what level it is going, and what are to assess emerging social trends. Next, sixth indicator is the setting up of a monitoring mechanism to ensure that growth level are sustainable and no point exceeds the outer limits. So whatever measures, whatever levels you're talking about, they are sustainable enough. So there should be a monitoring mechanism to ensure that growth level of sustainable. The growth is at the sustainable, it is reaching to the need of the future. Seventh one is the anticipation of growth related and other problems and preparedness to handle them quickly and effectively. So we should come out with various measures in such a manner that, whatever problems are there, we should be in a position to attend them very quickly and effectively and come to the solutions to solve those particular problems that are existing. So that kind of indicators are required for a social development. So there is a creation of an ethos, okay? The creation of an ethos in which it is possible to question and rethink the appropriateness and advocacy of existing social information and to work towards the restructuring. So social development, it is whatever existing things are there, it is fine. But we have to think in such a way that, the social progress is ensured, and where there is, which can be ensured whenever there is a restructuring aspect is been implemented. So this is all about the indicators of social development. Hope you understood this. Second aspect is, I can just talk about what are the models of social development. So there are various models of social development. Hopefully, all the models I'll talk about now, but just listen to it very carefully. Okay, what are the models of social development? See, first one, just listen to me. First one, the central beliefs of socialism. Okay, rested on the exploitation of those who actually labored by those who owned capital and rented land and housing. So power was in the hands of the capitalist class. Okay, what the capitalists, what they did, they exploited the people. Okay, and they kabza cheyadamu, chala rented land తీసుకోవడము, houses కట్టడం. They owned everything. It is a belief of the socialists. Socialist people. After capitalism comes communism, the socialism as given by Karl Marx. Okay, so when the power was in the hands of the capitalists, what is happening is there is the abject misery, poverty, and disease to which laboring classes seem destined with the inspiration of a series of scholars taught, which argued that life under a class of master or a capitalist, as they were then becoming to be called, would consist of working classes being driven down to subsistent wages. So what I mean to say is that under the capitalist rule, there was abject misery, there was abject poverty, and there was a disease where the laboring classes were supposed to, there was a destination, they were destined to experience all these problems under the capitalist sections. And they were then being called, like working, consist of working classes being driven down to subsistence. జీతాల కోసం పనిచేసే వాళ్ళగా మిగిలిపోతారు. Second was socialist ideas. When modern social development talk about socialist economy, socialist ideas found expression in the utopian movements, like, which often formed agricultural communes aimed at being self-sufficient on the land. So these included many religious movements, such as, we talk about America, there's a Shakers in America where, utopian socialism had little to offer in terms of a systematic theory of economic phenomena. So in theory, what is happening is economic problems were dissolved by an utopian society, which had transited material scarcity. In practice, but in a very less level, where, in practice, small communities with common spirit could sometimes resolve allocation problem. Same kind of problems faced చేసేవాళ్ళు అందరు కలిసి ఒక చోట వచ్చేస్తే they can resolve their problems either through religious practices or through various community movements, whatever it is. They come together, they can resolve their problem. Okay. Next aspect we can talk about is we talk about, the first organized theory of socialist economy significantly given by Adam Smith, because Adam Smith is considered as the father of economics. And we have this Malthus, who talk about demography, who talk about population, okay, demographic transition. He talks about, and Adam Smith, it's a consumption of common good not provided by the market. So common people are not benefited by the market. All are not getting in the same space. So a class analysis, classes are there. There's a hierarchy in the society. A class analysis is there, which is a concern for the dehumanizing aspect of the practice system. And the concept of rent has been unproductive. So, like when I say, there is a hierarchy, there is a competition. Market is not same for everybody. Okay, so that is how we can talk about, people are not the same. So there is a need of some kind of things that can ensure equality. Okay, so every socialist thinkers were also influenced by classic economists. Okay, so as I said you that, as you all know that, sociology and economics go hand in hand. So they are also influenced by classical economics, like Adam Smith, David Ricardo, or many others, where, even Karl Marx. Karl Marx is also an economist. And the Karl Marx was the person who transformed the labor theory of value, which had been worked on by Adam Smith later, and David Ricardo into his law of value, where, he's used it for the purpose of revealing how commodity obscures the reality of capitalist society. Commodity, prati manishini oka commodity laga chustaru. You oka commodity, nenu oka commodity. Okay, every person is been considered as a capital. Every person is a commodity. Okay, so in modern aspect law, humans are being considered as commodity. Okay, that is one of the aspect of one of the model is socialist model. Now we spoke about the socialist model of development. Second, I can talk about is the capitalist system, capitalist economy in social development, models of capitalist economy in social development. So when I say the models of development literature goes back to the various state-led strategies, where we talk about where industrialization dominated the society. East la kavachu, west la kavachu, mana daggara kuda kavachu. Okay, the capitalists dominated the society everywhere, and there were many aspects they have come. There is a configuration. It could be dissected with categories by reference to number of variables such as labor and management skills, system of industrial relation, financial markets, industrial structure, political institution. So what is happening over here that, less market-led or trust-based only. So targets,
Ma'am, semi conduct చేయొచ్చు మ్యామ్.
ఏందన్నా
థర్డ్ సెమ్ ఎప్పుడు ఉండొచ్చు?
తెలియదు నాన్న నాకు.
మ్యామ్ ఇంకో డౌట్ మ్యామ్, సోషియాలజీ ఒకటే వర్త్ లిజనింగ్ ఉంది, మిగతా సబ్జెక్ట్స్ అన్ని టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ చదువుతున్నారు.
ఒక్క నిమిషం నాన్న, నేను కొంచెం నీ ముఖం చూస్తాగండి. ఒక్క నిమిషము, నా స్క్రీన్ పెద్దగా అయితే. ఓకే, చెప్పండి.
సోషియాలజీ ఒకటే వర్త్ లిజనింగ్ ఉంది, ఐ మీన్ క్వాలిటీ ఉంది, మిగతావన్నీ వాళ్ళు టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ చదువుతున్నట్టున్నారు డిగ్రీ కాలేజ్.
అట్లా అంటున్నారా?
అంటే యూనివర్సిటీ ప్రొఫెసర్ హిస్టరీ కానీ వేరే సబ్జెక్ట్స్ కానీ అంత బాగా చెప్పట్లేదు. అదే మీరు యూనివర్సిటీ నుండి మిగతా వాళ్ళు వేరే కాలేజెస్ అర్థం వేరే క్లాసెస్ కూడా ఉన్నారు. సోషియాలజీ ఇట్లా ఇంత పర్ఫెక్ట్ గా లేవు ఏ క్లాసెస్.
అవునా? కానీ మనము మన 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 అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటర్స్ ఉంటారు కదా, వాళ్ళకి చెప్పొచ్చు కదా, మీరు ఒక కంప్లైంట్ ఇవ్వచ్చు కదా వాళ్ళకి, సోషియాలజీ లాగా అన్ని క్లాసెస్ జరగాలనేసి. మీరు ఒక లెటర్ రాయండి. మీరు ఒకటి లెటర్, లేకపోతే మీ 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 సెంటర్ వాళ్ళకి చెప్పేస్తే కైండ్లీ అరేంజ్ క్లాసెస్ ఫర్ అస్ అంటే. ఎందుకంటే ఒక విషయం చెప్పనా, అందరికి టైం టేబుల్ ఉంది. ఈ రోజు క్లాస్ ఉంది కదా, మీకు హిస్టరీ క్లాస్ కూడా ఉంది. ఈ రోజు హిస్టరీ క్లాస్ ఉంది, అన్ని క్లాసెస్ ఉన్నాయి. ఆ టైంలో టీచర్లు వచ్చి చెప్పేస్తే బాగుంటుంది. సో మీరు
సబ్జెక్ట్ క్వాలిటీ
నాకు ఐ డోంట్ నో, ఐ కెనాట్ జడ్జ్ అ టీచర్ హియర్ సబ్జెక్ట్ క్వాలిటీ. ఎవరు మనం అనడానికి హక్కు ఉండదు. కాకపోతే మీరు చెప్పొచ్చు, చెప్పట్లేదు సరిగా అనేసి. మీరు చెప్తే వాళ్ళు అర్థం చేసుకుంటారేమో అట్లా. మీకు ఎవరు చెప్తున్నా నాకు అది కూడా తెలియదు, మీకు ఎవరు చెప్తున్నారు. అంటే నేను చెప్తాను ఇట్లా, మా కన్సర్న్ పర్సన్ వాళ్ళకి నేను చెప్తాను.
అంటే నా డౌట్ ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళు టైఅప్ ఉండి వేరే చోట నుంచి చెప్తారా, లేదా యూనివర్సిటీ ప్రొఫెసర్స్ కానీ
యూనివర్సిటీ వాళ్ళే అరేంజ్ చేస్తారు,
లేదా లోకల్ డిగ్రీ కాలేజెస్ నుండి అలా
యూనివర్సిటీ వాళ్ళే ఐడెంటిఫై చేస్తారు. అట్లా మీరు చెప్పమంటే నేను నా కన్సర్న్ పర్సన్ ఆయనకి చెప్తాను ఈ విషయం. ఓకే, యా, కొంచెం స్టార్ట్ చేయనా క్లాస్?
స్టార్ట్ చేయండి.
సారీ, యా,
థాంక్యూ.
యా, ఫైన్. సో ఇక్కడ నేను ఇంకా వాట్ ఐఎమ్ టెలింగ్ నౌ ఇస్ అబౌట్ ద క్యాపిటలిస్ట్ మోడల్ ఆఫ్ capitalist economy in social development. అక్కడ లింక్ పోయింది, సారీ ఫర్ దాట్, బట్ ఫైన్. So here what is happening is that has to be targets to be achieved. How to challenge the elite sections. Okay, what ideology claims, what are the impact of overarching regional arrangements, what is the position of the country's political economy. All these aspects comes into the strategies of economic development, capitalist development of a country. So overall strategy of capitalist development of a country, the model, if you like that, it aspires to achieve. So everything else, namely its particular fiscal kavachu, monetary kavachu, industrial kavachu, education kavachu, foreign policies kavachu, should be understood as a component parts of the whole. So of course, this is often not in the case of practice, contradictory, even conflicting. So policies that do not add up to a strategy are not exactly uncommon in the real world political economy. So the countries have a responsibility to do this, especially where governments enjoy a democratic mandate, democracy, to service the well-being of the people. But if you look into our current globalizing era, it is possible and desirable that other entities should also identify and pursue models of capitalist development that, which is catchy to them and which can bring about the changes in the society. And another model of social development is model for voluntary sector. NGOs gurinchi telusuntadi. So the social sector involve education, health, justice, and social development and public working together to change the way that social services are delivered and what happens when a local organization or individual directs cross exchanges resources, and where there is an involvement of local organizations, there is an involvement of government agencies, there is an involvement of the community, etc., 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 for the delivery and collaborative social services. So when I say model for అందుకని మనం అంటాం కదా గవర్నమెంట్ తో పాటు వాలంటరీ సెక్టర్స్ కూడా ఈక్వల్ గా పనిచేస్తుంటే ఫర్ ద డెవలప్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ సొసైటీ. ఆ సోషల్ సర్వీస్ కావచ్చు, సోషల్ వెల్ఫేర్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ లో. సో either
ma'am,
one second, I'm sorry, one second. I'm at home today, I'm cooking. One second. I'm so sorry. చెప్పమ్మా, ఏమో చెప్తున్నాను నేను.
మ్యామ్ అండ్ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో ఒకటి ఇచ్చారు మ్యామ్, వెల్ఫేర్ మోడల్ ఆఫ్ డెవలప్మెంట్. సో లైక్ స్క్రీన్ షేర్ చేస్తే మీరు చెప్తారా ఒకసారి?
ఏందన్నా
I'll be doing స్క్రీన్ షేరింగ్ చేస్తాం మ్యామ్. సో మీరు దాని గురించి కొంచెం చెప్తారా? బికాస్ అది ఒక్కటి కొంచెం అర్థం కాదు.
నాకు సరిగా అర్థమైతే నువ్వేం చెప్తున్నావు
మ్యామ్. ఇక్కడ లైక్ యూ టోల్డ్ అబౌట్ సోషలిస్టిక్ మోడల్, రైట్? సో దోస్ అంటే వాళ్ళు ఆ రెండు అర్థమైనా మ్యామ్. అండ్ ఈవెన్ వెస్టర్న్ లిబరల్ మోడల్ కూడా ఉంది, దట్ ఈస్ అబౌట్ లైక్ మార్కెట్ మోడల్, అది కూడా మీరు చెప్పారు. అండ్ ఇంకోటి వెల్ఫేర్ మోడల్ అని ఉంది మ్యామ్, అది ఒకటి
చాలా మోడల్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఐఎమ్ కమింగ్ టు దోస్ థింగ్స్.
yes మ్యామ్. మ్యామ్ స్క్రీన్ షేర్ చేయాలా లేకపోతే
నన్ను చేయమంటా స్క్రీన్ షేర్? మీ దగ్గర స్క్రీన్ షేర్ ఉందా? Ma'am, you can give your phone number, but added in sociology group. We have any doubt? Okay, so fine. Somebody was saying something. You're sharing the screen, my dear?
Yes, ma'am. Give me a second.
Fine. It's okay, fine. I'm coming to that models, yeah.
Ma'am, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I'm just going. This is your textbook, is it?
Yes, ma'am, it's textbook.
Yeah, this is not about your issues paper, kada? I'm not talking about the models of development, because I'm talking about social development. These models of development will come in the paper of social development paper. I'm just talking about social development. Nana, are you able to understand?
Yes, ma'am. Social development, they gave a description, ma'am, here.
Yeah, social development. It is in issues. It is in the issues of issues book.
No, ma'am. In sociology book lo undi.
It is issues, social issues, problems lo. ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్ లేదు, మీకు చెప్పమని నేను చెప్తాను, బట్ ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఉంది కదా, ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్ సోషల్ ఇష్యూస్ లో లేదు. మీరు అవన్నీ రాయొద్దు దీంట్లో. నేను ఇక్కడ సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ గురించే మాట్లాడుతున్నా. నానా అర్థమవుతుందా? నానా నేను ఇప్పుడు నీకు మోడల్స్ చెప్తున్నా కదా, ఇప్పుడు నేను జస్ట్ వాట్ ఈస్ సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నా. వాట్ ఈస్ సోషల్, వాట్ ఈస్ యాంటీ సోషల్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ లో సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ కాన్సెప్ట్ కింద మాట్లాడుతున్నా. నేను సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నప్పుడు సోషల్ సర్వీస్, సోషల్ వెల్ఫేర్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ అన్ని వస్తాయి. గెటింగ్?
Yes, ma'am.
Whatever you're showing me, models of development, అది సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ పేపర్ మీకు ఒకటి ఉంది, సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ అండ్ చేంజ్. హలో Nana. Okay, na?
మ్యామ్ ఇది ఒకటే ఉంది మ్యామ్ లైక్ బుక్ లో సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ కాన్సెప్ట్.
నేను మీకు మెటీరియల్ పంపిస్తాను, వినండి. మీకు సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ మెటీరియల్ మీకు ఇస్తాను నేను, అది చూడండి మీరు ఒకసారి.
ఓకే మ్యామ్.
ఓకేనా? యూ టేక్ మై నంబర్ తీసుకోండి, నేను మీకు మెటీరియల్ పంపిస్తే అది చదవండి. Indicators of what is social development, what are the indicators of social development, what are the models of social development, what is the role of social model for voluntary sector. So what is the role of voluntary sector in social development? Okay, అందులో మన కమ్యూనిటీ కూడా వస్తుంది. సోషల్ డెవలప్మెంట్, పీపుల్స్ పార్టిసిపేషన్, పీపుల్స్ సోషల్ పార్టిసిపేషన్, అది హ్యూమన్ డెవలప్మెంట్ మోడల్ కింద వస్తుంది మనకి. ఓకే, పీపుల్ సోషల్ పార్టిసిపేషన్ అంటే ఏంటి, హ్యూమన్ రిసోర్స్ డెవలప్మెంట్ అంటే ఏంటి, ఈ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ మనం ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్ లో మాట్లాడాలి. అర్థమైందా?
Okay.
Okay, so just listen to me. Okay, see, either a contracted non-governmental organization or an employed individual in place in these communities to lead a program of work. So there is a kind of relationship been existing between voluntary sector or non-government organization as well as the individual or the government. So the NGOs and individuals planning social service delivery for young people, managing relevant contracts and funding that are with the scope of the program, or overseeing the resources in kind, developing networks, engaging with their community, and influencing social services outside of their direct control, like a statutory service, extra voluntary work laga. So there is an establishment of social sector local advisory group in each location. Every area lo untaru. So కొందరు హెల్త్ గురించి మాట్లాడతారు, కొందరు చిల్డ్రన్ గురించి మాట్లాడతారు, కొందరు ఉమెన్ గురించి మాట్లాడతారు, కొందరు దళిత్స్ గురించి మాట్లాడతారు, కొందరు ట్రైబల్స్ గురించి మాట్లాడతారు. So there are representatives, includes like councils, government agencies, community representatives, and social service providers, that oversee the direction and priority setting, like engage community ownership and involvement. So there is development and implementation of a social sector plan, and the name under social sector plan, action plan good under them. So what I mean to say is that, these NGOs along with the government, independence, as I said, has been proved most adequate for us in tackling the problems of India. That is, fulfilling the basic needs of food, clothing, shelter, and basic amenities of life like quality growth in education, health, and other human resources related to infrastructure. So in absolute numbers, if you look at poverty, has compounded manifold. Okay, large section of the people, like 65 to 70%, still are below poverty line, like bare subsistence level, whereby many people are below poverty line, and for them each day being a fresh struggle for existence, the enormous number of people and unparalleled human potential of India mostly remains untapped, and then valani development aspect of తీసుకో. So the government for the people, by the people, and of the people has not really lived to the expectation of the people, those are poor. So there is a gap between haves and have-nots. And it has been, see, I'm talking in terms of social development. Okay, so there is a gap between haves and have-nots, which is widening exponentially. And what is happening with the have-nots are numerically increasing in numbers. As you all know, in India, the population size is increasing day by day, and with that, the problems of poor or the number of poor or number of have-not is also increasing day by day. And as you all know that millions of people inhabiting this country are also facing the problems of illiteracy. Most of the children are dropouts. There is child labor. There is, we talk about infant and child mortality. There are physically and mentally challenged people. See, population is growing. What we can do there, we look at the population of India, it is 136 crore population. I think it is 140 crores now. Okay, when I say 140 crores of population in our country, so along with that growth in population, the growth in population also giving rise to the issues like illiteracy, dropout rate, child mortality, infant mortality, child labor, problems of physically challenged, mentally challenged population. As we all know, the population of physically challenged and mentally challenged people is equal to the population of Australia, we say. But that much of population of physically challenged and mentally challenged are there in our country. So there are growing number of uncared elders, and problems of old people is also increasing every day. So our problems are ever exceeding, are growing out of our resources. So in case the diminishing employment opportunities or any other pointer, we are far from converting our population to really useful human resources for the national development. So the allocations kani, the schemes kani, policies kani, programs for women kani, children kani, elders kani, disabled kani, SCs kani, okay, the problems related to the sectors like health kani, education have though been rising. Chala schemes. Ippudu manam ee madhya manam schemes program chustunte prati 5 years plan lo manaki the schemes, policies, amendments and laws are taking place and chala ekko vachestunnayi. Okay, and they are having their tangible impact, and but the tangible impact is yet to be seen, okay, in raising the standards of the people to actually justify the real effectiveness. So it needs to be examined why the plethora of legislations meant to safeguard the interest of the weak and the vulnerable by large and remain unsuccessfully fulfilling the cherished objectives of the status of women, children, old, etc., etc., etc. As you all know, Article 45. The Article 45 will winner. Can you tell me what is Article 45? What is Article 45? Anybody can please tell me? Anybody heard about Article 45? What is Article 45?
Article 42 I heard about.
What
Article
is it? Article 42?
It is also called as mini constitution. It's like it's also called as mini constitution now.
Yeah, it is. But what is about Article 45? See, Article 45, like the example we look into, it talks about the ensures compulsory education. Have you heard about this Article 45? Compulsory education to children up to 14 years of age. Have you heard about this? It could not achieve the desired results. And now we will look at the 93rd Amendment of the Constitution, casting a legal obligation less upon the state and more on the incapable, impoverished families and the undefined community. It actually has to be achieved. So there are so many policies, so many programs, so many amendments are coming, so many legislations have been passed, but still we are in a far way to achieve those rights. Okay. Then let us talk about in a social development aspect is not only the non-voluntary sectors, but it's also about the people's social participation. What is the participation of the people? See, according to human development model, people's conceptual model power to social participation means, carrying out one's life habits in one environment. It could be school, it could be workplace, it could be neighborhood, etc., etc. And I'll just put it, if it is possible, what is possible in the habit categories to choose in the community and daily evolution. In the slide let pettanu. Where is my PPT? Yeah. Daily activities and social roles. For example, it is a cubic classification. And they say that, in the community, daily activities like nutrition. What is the social role? Can you please tell me? What is the social role? When you talk about, in a community, daily activities untai. Daily activities, one of the daily activity emo nutrition anukundam. Then the response social role and chapter oksari. What could be the social role for daily activity? Anybody? What should be done to ensure nutrition for all the people? What to be done to ensure nutrition for all the people? Can anybody please respond?
It's like social role is like, ma'am, social role means like establishing separate pattern or like the behavior or the laws enforced by the government. Like some particular laws that can be enforced by the government so that they can ensure the equality between among
very
the people.
Good. See, whatever you said is very beautifully said. When I say nutrition, it is a daily activity of an individual, of a community, whether you belong to a smaller community or bigger community. Nutrition is something which is a requirement of every person. So nutrition is a responsibility of every person. Okay, it is a responsibility at the individual level. It is a responsibility at the societal level. Everybody has the responsibility to fulfill the needs of nutrition. Okay. So next aspect is fitness. When I say fitness, fitness is something talks about the interpersonal relationship. How are you going to be healthy? What kind of interaction you have with others? How can you be happy? If I do yoga, then I will be hale and healthy. So that talks about the interpersonal relationship. So what kind of interpersonal relationship? There is social roles. Okay? We have yoga centers, we have health centers, we have meditation centers, etc., etc., etc. To keep people healthy. Then we talk about personal care. Personal care actually talks about, the community life. When I say personal care talks about the community life, the life of an individual. What kind of personal care you are taking at your level as well as the community level. Okay, talks about the community life. Social roles talks about the community life. Next talks about the communication. How that communication can be fulfilled. How the communication can go from one person to another. How can it can reach to a larger level. It's only because of the education. The social role is education. And housing. Housing, again, social role is employment. If you have employment, then you can go for housing. What the social role is? Employment. Like if you want to build a house, if you want to go for a good house, then you should be employed to get loans. Okay. The housing and employment goes hand in hand. Daily activities and all that goes hand in hand. Then mobility. When I say mobility, mobility is only possible. We can move from one place to another. It is talking about social role is recreation. So what are the recreational measures have been provided to the people to move from one place to another, either whatever it could be the reason. So recreation plays a very major role, like habit categories and daily activities and social roles. For a mobility, recreation plays a very important. It's not given by me. It is given by the one. It's a Quebec classification. So the Quebec classification identifies 12 life habits categories. 12 life habits categories, 6 daily activities, and life habit categories, 6 daily activities and 6 social roles. So, this aspect relate to Japan. Okay, so life habits, what does it do? Life habits ensure the survival and development of a person. So when I talk about nutrition, if I talk about education, if I talk about employment, if I talk about housing, if I talk about recreation, if I talk about fitness, if I talk about personal care, all these life habits ensure the survival and development of a person's society throughout his or her life. So carrying out these life habits depends especially on the age of the person. Okay, an expectation of the living environment and cultural aspects. So in which age you are in. So a child cannot take care of all these things by himself. So it is the parents and they are the schools and they are the government, will be taking care of the nutrition aspect, taking care of the education aspect, taking care of the fitness aspect of the child. So all these are again interrelated to each other. So people's social participant objective we talk about, see, all people basically have the same life habits. Whether you believe me or not, all people, whether it is you or me, whether I'm a teacher and you are a student, everybody has the same life habit. However, some of them take on different forms. So I may like to commute through my car, you may try to commute through bus or auto rickshaw, whatever it could be. Everybody has the same habits, but they have different forms. Sometimes using technical aids like or facilities or human support, people prefer differently depending upon the conditions. So by not being able to do a task alone, either completely or partially, so if a person is able to express himself and have others recognize his differences, a life habit will not lead to a situation of dependency or loss of autonomy. So we are dependent on people because I cannot work in isolation or I cannot lead my life habits in isolation. I cannot, because everything I cannot do by myself. So I am actually dependent on many people for my survival. So when I say human resource development, human resource development is nothing but the accumulation of human capital, and it's effective investment in the development of an economy. Okay, that is human resource development. So accumulation of effective accumulation of human capital and its effective investment in the development of the country. So in political terms, human resources development prepares people for adult participation in political processes, particular citizens in a democracy. So from the social and cultural point of view, the development of human resource helps people to lead fuller and richer lives, less bound to their traditions. So the importance of human resource development is obvious when one considers that, in any economic activity, it is a human element that commands, directs, organizes, or controls or maximizes the factors of production. What is it? That human activity, it is a human element that commands, directs, organizes, controls, and maximizes the factors of production. So the main duty of the social work is utilizing the human resource development includes all these aspects. So setting social development goals or targets and strategies, analysis and monitoring of social development trends, to set policies and strategies, that will stimulate private and community participation in social and human resource development initiatives. So there is a need to supervise and evaluate implementation of social sector strategy. So there is a need to initiate or to promote national efforts towards various measures. My major aspect I could talk about child survival protection and development, to develop policies and strategy for enhancing efficiency in government administration, initiating action on emergency issues or problems in the social human resource development. There should be preparations, there should be various aspects which comes under the human resource development. Okay, this is all about what exactly you mean by social development. So anything related to the particular topic, if you notice, for example, if you talk about the social development aspect, it talks about various aspects that are again related to the individual. There are various approaches to social development. Like when we talk about the Vinoba Bhave's approach or Gandhian concept approach. For example, Vinoba Bhave developed Gandhiji's concept of Sarvodaya, keeping in view the changing socio-economic circumstances. He had come out with the movement of Bhudan and Gramdan, and his unique method of spreading his message of compassion toward Padayatra and have attracted worldwide attention. And the main tenets of Sarvodaya philosophy as propounded by Gandhiji was taken up by Vinoba Bhave while he was implementing this Bhudan movement and Gramdan movement. Okay, so there are various principles of Sarvodaya. I'm not talking about that. It actually talks about the social development of the individual. Okay, and we talk about the Antodaya model. You must have heard about the Antodaya model. It is again approach to social development. Approaches to social development is Antodaya model. Okay, when you talk about Antodaya model, it is again, it's one of the most effective pathways for social development. Is what Mahatma Gandhi described as Antodaya, or attention to the poorest people. Antodaya, attention to the poorest person. So he wanted all involved in the formulating development policies and strategies to adopt a bottom-up approach. So Antodaya, every person will be given a chance to involve themselves in the policies and strategies. So Gandhiji also mentioned to the poorest, that is Antodaya's approach will help to promote a Sarvodaya society, or a society which is characterized by high social synergy, where one individual's economic advancement is not at the cost of another's opportunity. Adhamayinda? Andaru equal ga undali. Ante emantadante ayana ఒక్కరిది వన్స్ ఇండివిజువల్ ఎకనామిక్ అడ్వాన్స్మెంట్, ఒక్కరు పెరుగుతున్న ఎకనామిక్ అడ్వాన్స్ అవుతున్నాం, అది వేరే వాళ్ళ కాస్ట్ మీద జరగకూడదు. సర్వోదయ సొసైటీ ఏమేంటో చేస్తుంది, ఇట్ ప్రొవైడ్స్ ఎ విన్ విన్ సిచ్యువేషన్ టు ఆల్, నాట్ టు వన్ పర్సన్, టు ఎవ్రీబడి, టు ఆల్, అండ్ పేవ్స్ ద వే ఫర్ సస్టైనబుల్ డెవలప్మెంట్, విచ్ పేవ్స్ ద వే ఫర్ సూటబుల్ ఫ్యూచర్ ఫర్ హ్యూమన్ కైండ్. ఇంకొకటి కూడా ఉంది ఏంటంటే న్యూ అంత్యోదయ అప్రోచ్ కూడా ఒకటి ఉంది. తర్వాత అంత్యోదయ అప్రోచ్ తర్వాత ఆ న్యూ ఏంటంటే ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్క్లూజివ్నెస్ విత్ ఆల్ మెంబర్స్ ఆఫ్ ద రూరల్ పాపులేషన్, which they will benefited, irrespective of age, irrespective of caste, irrespective of gender. Everybody will be given a chance to be part, where also women will also be given a chance to work in this project, in this model. So experience has shown that, such women volunteers, whether illiterates or literates, or somebody take to new technologies. When women are so smart enough, if women is involved in the development process, they can take, when new methodologies and new methods and training are provided to them, I think they can, they like fish to water laga. So what I mean to say is that is new Antyodaya beliefs talking about empowering the rural communities with various aspects related to women, aspects related to health, aspects related to agriculture, sustainable agriculture, aqua agriculture, markets, etc., etc., etc. So Antyodaya has specified on the following strategies like participation, goal attainment, sharing and innovation attitudes along with the members. People's participation is very, very important. And again, let me tell you one more point. Role of social worker is also very important in social development. Role of social worker in social development. So in the process of social development, So social worker role is very, very important. What aspect? He will advocate the problem. He will work as a broker. He will be an educator. He will be a case manager. He will be a facilitator. He will be a manager. He will be an organizer, etc., etc. See, so many roles have been played by a social worker in the process of development. He is an advocate. I said so many points. You can recollect what I said. Okay. So this is the role of a social worker in the social development. So that is also very much important when you're talking about the social development process. Is that okay, students? Hello?
Yes,
it's okay. Anything, please try to call me. I just put my number here. Okay. There is a message part chat. I'll just put my number here. Please don't mind my number. You can add me to your group. Any queries, any problems you have, you please ask me. If another class, I'm just giving a gist. I'm not going into detail of anything over here. But anything you want, I will try to cover up personally also if you want me to do that. I must be having another class where I will be talking about the constitutional safeguards and legislative measures for all the sections of society. I will be talking about that. If you want anything, you can ask me in the next class. Be prepared. Whatever you want to ask me, you tell me. I'll try to solve all the things. And sorry, child, if somebody asked me the models of development, I couldn't talk about that because models of development is different than social development. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am, it's okay. Yes,
Thank you so much. Any queries, please do ask me. Okay. So shall I leave?
Ma'am, your number.
Last send message. Sarah?
No, ma'am.
90 300 14766. 90 300 14766.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Chapnana.
Number note just
90.
వస్తున్నావారా నువ్వు
90 300 14766.
90
300.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
90 300
157
146
147 147.
I wrote chat box last time, ma'am.
Okay, Nana. 90 300 14766. Sarina? Meet you in the next class. You can give me the reminder. I may forget about the